Hey everyone, cncHD here, and this will be an AOD tutorial for those who are interested in this and would like to know how to get started and how to script. So in the first part I will show you how to get started and show you step by step how I would create a basic AOD map, and in part 2 we will see how the scripting is done, very rough, to give you a very rough idea how it's done. So, first off, I suggest you create a draft. This is my draft, very well done in Paint. Paint is the best program you can ever have. I'm being sarcastic here, of course. And here we see the rough draft of my AOD map. We can see here the light gray. This is low ground area. The black thing is the road where the enemies go past, and we have the darker gray, so this one here for the second player, and the very dark gray for the third player. So player 1, player 2, player 3. And we want to build this map now in the WorldBuilder. So very first step is go to your WorldBuilder and create a new map. And to give you a rough idea what size I have chosen, here you can see my X coordinates and my Y coordinates. The border size is very big. I really like big border sizes for scripting purposes. So you can, as map creator, place some units here, incoming waves for example, or hidden markets, hidden strategy centers, or what else. So I went with a 70 border. Initial height, this is the water level, so at 8 there's water and below. Okay, so I will go with these coordinates, these the size. We can see the map is very big, but we will have 3 players, so we will find out if this is too big or not. It's very hard to get the right size. I advise to just go for it and place command centers to give you a rough idea how big the map is going to be. So here we have player 1, player 2, player 3. And I think this should be about the right size, but we will find out once the map is actually done in its rough form. So first off, we go to the road, and we can pick some nice textures. Maybe we first go for a basic ground texture. Also create a color palette. I really advise to do so. I'm typically going for tropical type in my map, so I will go for tropical again. And I will have a color palette here at the top. So I will box this in and then fill the whole map with my wanted base texture. So maybe here the sand large type free light. Boom. Okay, the map is now very sandy, and we will work from that. Okay, first off we go to the height brush. With the height brush you can determine your height of the map, of course. So here we can play around with the settings. I usually advise to go a bit wider here, so your cliffs don't look very ugly. We will keep it at 3. If you place it at 1, I will give you a rough example of 1. So if we do that and we place a cliff here, this will look very ugly. In most AOD maps you will see something like that, where the creator just goes for this. This is what you usually see in AOD maps. It looks extremely ugly, and if you texture that, it will be eye cancer. So we won't do that. We want a beautiful map. The chance of ugly AOD maps being played often is very low, so we want a beautiful map which player want to actually play and don't get eye cancer from it. Okay, so let's choose a height option. So brush height, let's say 70 for the beginning. So this is the lower ground for player 1, and we now want to height brush the second layer for player 2. So let's go with like maybe 8 in the brush width, and brush feather width is maybe 3. 3 is a good position here, a good size, good number for the width or width, whatever this is pronounced. And we want it to have about here. So let's place it here. We can also check, is this the right height? I think it's a bit too low. We can set it to 90 maybe. Let's check how 90 looks. 90 looks okay. So we will go for 90 to give this an actual height. If you want to draw straight lines, you go to the lock angle. If you lock this option, you can just paint very straight lines. Helps you a lot in painting these straight lines. Okay, once we have done that, we just paint it over here, all over the place. And I want to have it like here. So we have a little box here for player 1, and player 1 will have a little path here on the top. So about that. We can check with the draft again. So here's player 1, we have this little height here on the bottom, here's the path for the units, and here's our player 1. He will have a little space here on the top. So this should be enough space for player 2 to actually build on. This should be enough space for player 1, and we will also have a little space here. Okay, now let's fill that up. We can go with the brush width. God, this is a complicated word. Can go to like 40 and paint it all over here. Fill that gap in very quickly. Might lag a bit, but that's okay. Just fill that in. Maybe go with the whole map, even out of the border. Can help you later with the scripting. Also, don't press right click, otherwise you delete your last comment, which is very annoying. Happens to me all the time, this stupid right click. Okay. We have now created the second layer. Most of it. And this should be alright. Okay. So here's the second layer. And I now want to have the third layer. We can see the third layer here. We will have the space here on the top right and the bottom right. So let's do that right now. Maybe go to double the size here, maybe 180. See how that looks. 3. And let's see. Maybe about here. The lock angle. Let's see how that looks. And that looks great. Maybe a bit higher, but I think this looks okay. So let's just go with that. Paint it all over here. Leave a little space for player 2 so you can actually build something here. So don't make this too big. Maybe go in along this line here. Oops, I pressed right click again. Don't do that. So this should be alright. Okay, and now we delete this here. If you want to delete the height, you don't know what height you had before, you have here at the bottom the height level 56.25. Here you have 112.5 selected. If you go to 90, you will have 56.3 feet. If you check that here with the bottom, 56.25 feet, it's about the same size, same height, so you know you have selected the right thing. If you now paint over it, you will have the same height. It's a good way to find out how the height was for a certain level. Just check on the bottom. Okay, now that we have erased that and we have the same level, well, about the same level here, we can now continue with the spot for player 3. So we go back to 180, a straight line, so lock the angle, and now we just paint that thing over here, maybe like that, and paint it all out of the map, like that. Okay, we now have a spot for player 2, for player 1, for player 3. We now notice the map is actually not so big as we first thought, or I thought at least. We can now see it should be the right size, and we can now paint the height for player 3. So go out of the lock angle, we have painted the straight line, now we can go into the fill mode, so go to like 30 maybe, and fill that in. Maybe again fill the whole map, even if it's out of the border, will help you later with the scripting. Again, don't press the right click, otherwise you will delete what you just did, and we don't want that. Okay, so this is now filled in, well, most of it, and now it's filled in. Great. It's actually very little space for both, for all 3 players, but let's roll with it. Let's see if it's too less or not. We can actually go a bit higher. It looks very low. But let's try how that goes. I think it's still okay, but it looks a bit low to me. But let's roll with it. I mean, it's just a rough idea on how to create an AOD, so let's just go with it. Okay, so now we have painted in a ramp. We want to have a ramp here, which goes up here, and then have another ramp here on the right to the spot of player 3. Now to get the ramp, we first need to find a good spot. Here on the right side we have a good spot. Here could be the ramp. But here for this spot it's a bit difficult. So we want to have the spot in, so we go back to our height level. Maybe pick 3, lock the angle to paint a straight line, and maybe get about the same road size here. A bit rough to get, a bit difficult, but let's see. We paint it like that, and maybe go out a bit. So we get an idea where the ramp could be, like that maybe. I think this should be fine. And now we fill that in. Again, disable the lock angle so you can actually fill that thing in. So let's make it like that. And now we should have a nice ramp. Same here on the top. We go to 180. And we make a nice room for a nice ramp. So no, I think we can actually do that with the ramp function. So we go here to ramp. There it is. There, ramp. And we select the width or width, whatever this thing is called, I have no idea. 90, let's check 90. I think we can make it a bit wider, 110 maybe, no, not 1000, 110, 110. And yeah, this looks alright. So let's choose 110. Let's get it here, something like that maybe. And bring that all down here. So we have it about like that. We need to leave a little space here. It's a bit difficult sometimes, so maybe do it like that, maybe. Place the ramp, and that should look alright. Okay, let's do the same thing on the bottom. So let's place it here at the bottom and find the right angle. Can be a bit difficult at the beginning. Maybe do it like that. Drop it all here to the top so we have a nice ramp. This should be alright. Yes, this looks okay. Great. It can happen that you have a bit of differences to your draft. In the draft you have a little plateau here on the bottom. We do not have that in the real version. We could paint it in, but I think this will limit the space of player 2 a bit, so I'm not sure if you should actually do that. I mean, it adds a little detail in, but still it would cut in so much. Would cut so much from player 2. So I would actually say no, let's leave it out. Leave player 2 a bit of build space. So we can actually build something. Okay, so here on the top we also have a ramp for player 1 to get up to player 3. Let's give this player a little ramp. Maybe make it a bit wider, 130, 160 maybe, so we have a nice big ramp. But with the ramp we don't want to go to player 2, we only want to go to player 3. We could actually go up to player 2, but nah, I don't want that. I don't want that. So maybe bring this up here a little down, so we can have a nice ramp, maybe do it like that. Paint that all over here, and I pressed right click again, god damn it. Yeah, it all now disappears because I pressed right click, it's so annoying if you do that. Okay, and now we fill that in again. Again, disable the lock angle, to 20 maybe, and fill that in. Like that. Okay, and now we can place the ramp to make it nice and smooth. Let's make the ramp maybe here. It's very difficult here with the ramp. You might have to play around with that a bit. Maybe 190 to make it a bit bigger. Leave a bit of empty space here in between, so we don't get from player 1 to player 2, because I don't want that. Let's place it like that. Now we have a little ramp here. Looks a bit ugly, but that is wanted. Can later paint this over and make it a bit smoother. Okay, so this is our rough draft. And now with that we can work on the detail. We can now see player 1, 2 and 3 have about the same size. Player 2 has a bit less, but he has this plateau here on the bottom where you can spread. Player 3 has the whole top here, and player 1 is probably the player with the most less space. He also has this road here where the reunits come in. So I think player 1 actually needs to go up to the ramp and hope that player 3 is giving him some space here. Otherwise player 1 is a bit out of space. Maybe you can consider that in your AOD, give player 1 a bit more space so that all 3 players have about the same size. This is a bit unlucky for player 1, as we just noticed. What helps immensely is if you paint in the road. We will do that right now. We can look for a nice road texture. Maybe something with asphalt. Maybe there's something which looks actually good. and fits in. Maybe make that 10 or 20. Yeah, that looks alright. 20 looks good. Okay, paint that in. And this texture looks super ugly, I just noticed. Okay, paint it all over here to the top. And I again pressed right click, but this time it didn't delete it. Good for me. And bring that all down here. Okay, this looks a bit strange here. Need to correct that a bit. With this I just deleted the RAM, so let's just leave it how it is. I don't want to delete the ramp. Okay, now let's bring it here to the top. Maybe like that. And now we can see where the units are going through. Here they come in, go up the ramp, go through player 2 spot, go up the ramp and go out here. Okay, now we can maybe find a better texture, because this looks super ugly, to be honest. This looks way better. This looks like eye cancer. Yeah, you have to play around a bit with the textures to actually find a good thing. Let's just roll with that until we find a good texture. Okay, now this here looks super ugly. To make it a bit smoother, you have to smooth height. Just select it and play around here a bit with the height level. Let's just paint it over here, all over the place. Make it less ugly, like that. And I again press right click, because fuck this button. Okay, this makes it look so much smoother, makes it a beauty for the eyes, like that. And because we selected the brush height with 3, here, this thing, it makes it already very smooth. If you place it to 1, like I said in the beginning, you make it very straight and ugly. This way we have a very nice smooth cliff. Not something like this. This looks super ugly. Need to smooth that a bit. Make it less ugly, like that. Yeah, this is super good. And we can also smooth this here a bit. Smooth it. And smooth this here a bit. Okay, here we don't need to smooth so much, because this looks actually very good. Here we have the problem with the texture, that it's overlapping with the mountain. We need to correct that later with the textures. Okay, here we need also some corrections maybe, or we just leave it like this? No. Correct it here a bit with the smooth height. Make it a bit smoother, like that. And this also looks super straight and super ugly. Let's make this. I again press right click because I hate this button. Okay. Yeah, this should look alright. Just make it till here, and behind the border we don't care. We super don't care about that. This also looks super ugly. Let's correct that. Maybe so that it doesn't look so ugly anymore. And I think this looks alright. Great. Now we have successfully applied the smooth height function. Now we can make the cliffs look a bit better. For this we have our color palette here. Here's a good nice mountain texture. If you want to find more textures, you can look into transitions. We have all the cliff textures here. You can select from whatever you want. You have a large variety. You get what I mean. You have a large amount of textures you can choose from. And now let's apply these textures. Not with 20, but with maybe 3. We apply it here. Okay, bring that all over the cliff. Maybe delete these commands and the dummies. We don't need them any longer. Okay, apply all these textures here. Okay, now that we have applied all the cliff textures on the cliff, it's actually time now to make it look better. So let's now do that with the Auto Etch Out tool. If you click on it, it will auto etch here and make this ugly straight thing look much better. So if we do that, here we can see now nice cliff textures. We can also see that the road got much uglier. But we will fix that in a bit. Let's apply on these cliff textures. Like that. And now let's click on the road. Let's hope that it will look okay. We can now do a little detail check. If we look here, it looks alright. Could be a better texture for the road, but for now it works. Okay, this looks okay actually. Was afraid this would look super ugly, but this looks okay. Great! Now we have a very rough draft here of how our map is going to look. Now we can go into the great detail. For that I have chosen 4 textures. We have some grass where we can place palms or trees. A little more sandy texture and 2 almost identical sand textures. These blend in very well. We have these little details and the grass for some trees. Here on the top you have the single tile and the large tile. Large tile is this and single tile is just one single tile. You can select these with hotkeys. On A you have the single tile. On S you have the large tile. You can switch between these two to make it faster to switch between these two. You will need the single tile in some situations to apply some details on the ground. With the Alt key you can select the Eyedropper. The Eyedropper is also here next to the fill function. Flood file. So here you have the Eyedropper. It's selected with the Alt button. So A, S, Alt. These are your 3 main keys. And also the Auto Etch Out, which you can select through F. A, S, F, Alt. So these 4 keys. Okay, we use the Eyedropper. This is our basic texture here. And we want now to fill our area with this texture to bring in a bit more details. So I select the Eyedropper, copy this texture and bring it onto this map with my large tile. Also here this button selected with S. We select maybe 3 as a brush width and we bring it on here to the ground. Just throw it in here, make some lines. You can barely see it, but you will later see it if you have applied, if you have brought on many on these map. Why do I say apply so much? I have no idea. Press F or click on Auto Etch Out to auto etch this thing out to make it smoother. You need to do this right away, otherwise you will forget where these things are. And again, do the same thing. Bring it on the map, F, auto etch it out. Do that again, F, auto etch it out. Do that again, F, auto etch it out. And you do that for the whole map until you think you covered a good amount of ground. As I said before, you can't really see it, but later on it will really spring into the eyes if you have done enough of these. So let's just do a few. You can also bring in more details later. I'm just throwing this roughly in here. No really motivation behind this, just bringing them in. If you want to spend more time on that, please do so. But this is how you make it in a very fast way with the hotkeys in use. Okay, now that we have brought in this texture, we can now go to our color palette and use this texture, which you will see very good on the map. We do the same thing, just use the texture, bring it on the map until you think it looks good. We can see that now much better than before. Just use the same method, just slap it on here until you think it looks decent. I'm now doing it a bit ugly because I want to save time on the video, but if you want to actually make it good, just spend a bit more time on it until you think it's good and well done. If you now look at the ground, you can actually see some detail coming in. It's a bit ugly because I'm just throwing them in on the map. You can see that directly, that it looks a bit ugly, but it's way more texture than most AOD maps have if you play them. Most AODs just have one texture, it looks super ugly, and there's no love in these maps. It's just a basic draft version slapped on there on WorldBuilder with a few scripts in there which are also not with much love, and yeah, it's very frustrating to play AODs. I usually hate playing AODs because of this fact. Also, comp stomp maps look super ugly. There are only a few comp stomp maps which look actually good. So if you're a map creator, please put in some more love into your maps, otherwise I won't play them. If they are just a few textures slapped to each other. I mean, this is the same thing here, I just slapping textures into each other, but it's way more love spent into it than most map creators throw into their maps. Let's be real here. Okay, this should be good. You can see a lot of textures now here. And now we use my favorite texture, which is the grassy texture. And on the grassy texture, we will place trees. Okay, so not here. Here we want to have buildings, for example, laser turrets or fire bases. So we don't want to have trees here. So let's think logical. We want to have them here, maybe. So maybe place a few here. Make it a bit here, filled with some trees. Maybe bring in some mountains. You can place mountains with the mount tool. Just throw a few mountains in here. Just bring a bit more detail overall into the map. Make it visually beautiful for players to look at and to actually enjoy your map. Make them love your map and don't make them feel like, oh, what is this for an ugly map? I don't want to play on it, but hey, I want to play an AOD, but there are not many AODs, so let's just play this. Okay, maybe do the mountain like that. Just rub that mouse button over the map. Do it like that, so you have a rough idea of a mountain. Leave the player enough space to place some buildings here. grab with the Alt key your texture of the cliff and bring that cliff texture on your cliff. You can wrap it around here, around the mountain, until you have filled it in completely, and then use the flood fill. And just click in here and it will fill automatically all the little empty gaps. Like that. What it doesn't get, you just fill in with your large tile. Okay, now we have a mountain here. We use the auto edge out. Press F to reach the auto edge out, or just press it here on the top. Edge that thing out. Now you have a mountain here. And if you want to bring in more variety, I hate these words, I hate English. Just bring in some more variety, you know what I mean. Stop laughing at me. Use maybe some other textures, for example like that. And use the single tile. And slap that thing on here. You can see just little difference. Not much. But it will smooth in there a bit, just a tiny little bit. Barely visible for the eye. So maybe let's bring in some better textures, which you can notice more on the eye. Maybe that thing. Just a little bit here. Auto edge that thing out, and maybe a little here, and maybe a little here. Here you will see that the cliff looks a bit ugly. You can use your smooth height tool to smooth that thing a bit out to make it look less ugly. So that the textures actually look good. Bring in some more cliff textures in here so that it looks a bit realistically. I'm not really good with cliffs. If you're better, then please feel free to create better cliffs. I think this should look alright. Okay, now we have a little mountain here. We have these textures. Now we can bring in some trees. So let's select our grassy texture. Bring that thing in here, maybe with the larger tile we can put it to 2. And let's bring in some trees here on the mountain. So maybe like that. Smooth that thing out. Now we have a little grass texture here. Maybe also bring some grass here on the mountains, see how that looks. I think that looks super ugly. Not a fan of it. Let's undo that. Looks not good. Yeah, let's do it like that. And with this way, you can try finding out good locations for mountains or grass textures. Here, for example, would be a nice thing. And if I think about it again, I think it's actually a good place to bring in some more ramps here. So the player can actually build something here. So let's make it like that. Make it a bit more like the draft version. Little corrections here. It's easily done. And this is what I mean here. Usually map creators leave that thing here in. You see that very often in maps. Just look at this beauty. It's just eye cancer and you don't want that. So please try to remove that. Okay, so use the smooth height and paint over that thing. Okay, now let's smooth them out. the player 3 can actually build something here, a few buildings. Player 2 has enough space to build something here. And now we can see a little texture error. Most web creators leave that thing in. It looks super bad. And yeah, I know you expected me to say super ugly here, I know. We want to remove that. How do I remove that? You can go to single tile, select your texture you want to fill in, select that thing or press Alt and select it. Go to your single tile, paint over it. Now you will have this, oops, what was that? Now you have this little edge. It looks very straight. You don't want that, it looks stupid. And now you use the blend single edge. The blend single edge is usually the auto edge out, but done manually. So you go here and you go, oops, diagonally above this texture. Click on your desert texture, left click, hold the left mouse button, drag it to the top, to the bottom, and now it will blend. Will it blend? Yes, it does. And congratulations, you have corrected this texture error. If you hear a cat screaming in the background, I'm sorry, he's just going crazy there. Alright, so let's think of more places for cliff, for mountain, whatever, maybe here on the top. Maybe bring in one more mountain. What you can also do is go to the mesh mold tool. If you want to activate the mesh mold tool, go to generalcentral.com. The link will be in the description down below. From where you can download the WorldBuilder version 2.2, where you can get all these hotkeys here and also some tricks and tips. For example, like this. This gives you some tricks and tips. You can get that from WorldBuilder version 2.2, which is on generalcentral.com. Again, link in the description down below. Here with the mesh mold tool, you can also bring in. Oh, where's the mesh mold tool? Oh, why? There it is. You can bring in a volcano, maybe. If you want to place a volcano here, you can do that by just placing it here, playing around here with the settings a bit, and just apply. Okay, this doesn't look like a volcano, but it should look like one if you place that thing here on the lower ground. If for some reason it does not work, I have no idea why, but normally it should place a volcano. No, it doesn't want to place a volcano. There we go. Maybe it just doesn't want to place it outside. So yeah, here you have a volcano if you want to place one. But place it inside the borders. We just saw how that thing works. So place it here, apply, boom, volcano. Ta-da! But we don't want that thing in here, so let's just delete it. But in case you want to have a volcano in there, this is how you do it. Alright, back to our mountain. Let's just place the mountain here, maybe here. You can also increase the brush height to like 6, then it goes up quicker. Here we notice that we reached the highest ground in the map possible. And we can't go any higher, so to make it look good we can use the dig tool. Yes, I say dig. And just throw that thing in here to make it somewhat beautiful. I don't know, it looks super ugly, man. This looks super ugly. Maybe with the smooth height we can repair that. Let's see. Looks somewhat better, but not so much. Not the best cliff I have ever created. Okay, let's bring the cliff textures on here. Yeah, I don't know. This looks extremely ugly, so no, we are not going to do that. We are not going to do that. This just doesn't look right. So sometimes you have the situation that you try something out and it doesn't look right. So let's just remove that. Happens sometimes. Okay, we just have a cliff here. Because why not? A mountain, I mean. Okay, now that we have done the texturing and some trees here on the bottom, we can also now bring in some more trees here if we want. Maybe here. Some trees also maybe in here. Some here. Maybe some here. Okay, it's not a great amount of trees. Wish there would be more, but we also want to leave space for turrets and other defensive buildings. Okay, now to bring in trees, you have the growth tool. In the growth tool, you can select your trees by clicking here on the drop down and select your trees. We want to place palms. We want to place 10 of them in one drop, and we allow cliff placement. Not. So let's do it like that. We have 100% in total for these trees. If we now click here and drag and drop it, it will place 10, should place 10 trees, but it doesn't do it. So let's try this again. There we go. So we just needed to activate the cliff function. Okay, let's bring these trees in here. Maybe some more here. It looks a bit ugly, but what can you do? Bring some more in here. And sometimes I also like to place trees on the cliff. Try placing it within the border so it doesn't go outside of the border, and also try to not place it on the rocks but on the grassy texture. Okay, like that. This looks extremely ugly here. This looks better. Maybe use the brush height to make it a bit more alive with these trees. Maybe like that. Just move it a bit. Yeah, maybe like that. It's just a rough idea. Okay, now you have seen how to create a rough map on AOD map. This is just a rough idea. So first make your draft version, then go to the WorldBuilder, play around with the settings and the size, see if it is the right size or not. Bring a bit of texturing in there and make it a bit smooth, make it nice, and also don't forget to go to the large tile and make paint impassable terrain. The red parts are where units can't get past. The not so red parts are where units can go up. Here on this cliff units can go up. You don't want that. You want the units to use the ramp. So use the paint tool and paint over the parts you don't want to go to the units to go through. It's usually on the cliffs. So we in this case don't want the units to go up here. Okay, we have covered all the parts in red, which we don't want the units to go through. And here's still a bit of space left for the trees, I just noticed. Again, place the trees inside the border, so that they don't look ugly when you look at them from inside the match. If you place them like this, you will see black trees in the map. And this doesn't look great, so don't do that. Okay, and that's all about from me. I hope it wasn't too lengthy. I know I can go into detail here very much, even though I just want to show some basic idea. And for the second part, I will give you over to iLoveMixery. iLoveMixery is the creator of the awesome map Cobalt Rush. He created it together with SkyMix RMT, and we held the tournament on it. The lengthy parts you saw on my channel, which you all got annoyed from seeing it because we just failed constantly. He is the creator of this map, and he is an expert scripter together with SkyMix RMT. And iLoveMixery will show in detail how to create a rough scripting for your AOD. If you want to check that video out, which I highly recommend, you can find the link in the comment section down below. I will pin the comment with the link to his video. And that's it from me. I hope this helps you a lot building your own AOD. I hope this reduces the amount of ugly AODs we see around on the forums, because there are a lot of them. If you are a map creator, please put some love into your maps. Don't just throw the textures in it and after 10 minutes you call it a day. Please spend time on it, work on it, make it beautiful, make it good, make it actually look some a good map. And that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching. This is your cncHD. And if you want to see more tutorials like this, let me know and what you want to see, so I can work on that. Thank you very much for watching. Till the next time, goodbye.